Well, hi everyone, this is Patrick, and this is my submission for the Chapter 12 assignment on interpersonal conflicts. The book describes a conflict as an expressed struggle between two or more interdependent parties who perceive incompatible goals and interference from the other party to achieving their goals. So I have an example of this from work from within the last year where I am a landscaper and farmer and get hired to take care of properties for people. And there's a situation where a property caretaker who lives on a property that I have been hired to landscape and implement the vision of the property owner who is not on site. The property caretaker would come behind work that I had done, systems that I had created, and change them after I had left for the week. And so I would show up the following week to do my job and see things had been adapted and changed after I had left. So that was rather frustrating to me, and I take a lot of pride in kind of the systems I create because they take a lot of energy and effort to implement. And so that was frustrating to me. Um, I didn't know at first whether the property caretaker was actively trying to, you know, change what I'd done to annoy me, or why he wasn't telling me and he was just going behind me and doing those things. So I didn't know how to interpret it at first. So I would talk to my wife about it, just tell her about how I was feeling and how frustrating that was. And then eventually I talked to the property owner to confirm that he shouldn't be doing that, or I should settle down and not take it personal. He told me that the guy shouldn't be doing that behind my back. So um, I kept feeling out the situation and seeing if it was going to change or not, if the property owner would talk to him and I wouldn't have to directly deal with it because I tend to avoid confrontation. Um, that didn't eventually really happen, but I basically fell into a pattern of competing um, and feeling like I needed to win the situation versus not lose it. And like my systems went out versus him going behind me and changing it, and therefore me losing, so to speak. Eventually, we got into a compromising role where we'd have little conversations about things, the property caretaker, that is, and things started to get a little bit better. Where he wouldn't go behind me and change things, and he would understand my logic a little more, and I would also understand that he wanted to help make the property look good for guests while I was gone in the weeks, and he didn't understand some of the things that I was doing. So that's why he was going back and doing those things behind my back. But I still find it interesting that he wouldn't talk to me about it. He'd just go do it. Um, so we never got to a collaborate. And I still work on this property. We've never gotten to a collaborating kind of role in our conflict management. And I think his style was competing as well. So we were both in a competing role in the beginning, which is definitely not a place I enjoyed being. And I'm not sure if he did either, but I don't relate to him enough to have an in-depth conversation about that to that degree. So we kind of were in a competing role at first, and I still don't know where he was at in the long term. So the conflict, I don't know if it was ever really resolved or not. I think we've learned how to work around each other for the most part. I don't think we would ever work together if it wasn't for both of us enjoying the property. For me personally, I work on that property because I feel a connection to the land and to the history of the property. It's an older property that has a lot of historical uh, kind of structures on it, really old for where we live in Kona. It's been around, one of the oldest houses on a pretty little beach. So it's a great little property. Like I say, I probably wouldn't work with this guy or have to collaborate with him if it wasn't for my connection to the owner and the history of the property. So in the long run, the conflict, I don't know if it was fully resolved, but we've learned how to work within our boundaries with each other and be functional. So, anyways, well, hi everyone. Hope you have a good week.